I understand that the two of you have a yoga practice that you know, do every day, or that you were a former yoga teacher.
I taught yoga for many years, yes.
Okay. What principles from the practice, from that mindset, do you apply to the entertainment business, to your films, to your screenwriting, to producing, to acting?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously the practice of Ashtanga yoga is really it's a very physical practice, and it gets you exerted to the point where it requires you to quieten your mind, because it is such a physical a practice. And then when you finally finish it, you get into a place of self-reflection, contemplation, and quiet in your mind. So you basically tap into another area of your mind that you don't normally access in your daily life. And working within the film industry, you know, that's something that's not required of you to do, because there could be, you know, a lot of cynicism around it, as you know, it's not really an art form, or it's, you know, it's so superfluous that, you know, people don't really care, or it's something that's in the theater this week and gone next week, and, you know, there'll be another dozen of them out, you know, the year after or whatever. But it does allow you to be able to view and see things differently in as much as you have a purer intention for what you're trying to do. I mean, Diane's thing was always, when we started Obsoletia, was, look, hey, whoever gets on board with this, it may never go anywhere, but we'll make a bunch of new friends and we'll get better at what we do. That was exactly the intention from the very get-go. And that comes out of the whole idea of just being open in a yoga practice.
And I think it's also that thing of non-attachment to outcome, because I think that's one of the biggest things in yoga practice is, you know, it's being focused, just being in the moment and being present to what's happening without, you know, without having a goal, without doing it for something. It's like we say, you wash the dishes to wash the dishes. You don't wash them to get clean dishes, you know? And I think in filmmaking, I really feel something definitely I know that guides me is just that thing. You don't control the outcome of, you know, making a film. You know, what you do control is how you are in each moment as you make it. And I sort of think, like, as you're going through the process, if you just work in a way that's, you know, open-hearted and that's inclusive and that's positive, then no matter what happens, you have a great experience and things are good, you know, and you really don't control what happens to your film afterwards. So, like, I mean, I feel like I'm definitely guided by that. I mean, to be honest, because yoga is like such an underpinning of my life. So I feel like it underpins everything, like also in the content and the kinds of films. Like, I feel there's a sort of responsibility in the material that you create as well. You know, the films that you make, anything that you put out in the world has an effect on other people. And I think it's really important to be conscious about that. You know, what energy are you putting out through your work, you know? So there's so many different aspects. I think the number one thing, though, really is that that thing about the outcome, you know, not to be attached. And yoga teaches you that in a very profound way, you know, that really just be in the moment, be focused on the process, and let go of expectations and what's going to happen with it at the end, because that you never control. And I think if you do just stay in that, you just have a better chance of making a better film.
So that day when you went to the Sundance office,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like it was like, okay, let's just give it a shot. But was there both inside of you this part where, you know, it's not going to happen and we're just feeling, we're doing it? I'm curious, because it's not cheap to, you know, I mean, it's a great festival, but it's...
Yeah, I went in there and I felt really confident, because I'm pretty much a confident person anyway, but I felt really confident in the experience that we'd had and what we'd achieved with what we'd done with Obsoletia, that I was really confident that if this hallowed ground is not the place for this, there is another hallowed ground for this project, and it's somewhere else. But I felt confident in as much as there's only been 2 experiences that I've had in a 20-year span of being in the film industry where I really felt like this is really an amazing experience. The other experiences that I've had in the film industry were just work related, right? They were just jobs, a means to an end. And some of them were good and well intentioned, but they fell way short of the experience that I had with Obsoletia. And the other experience that I had was working on Titanic, where there are two extremities. One is a micro budget film, and the other one was one of the most expensive films of its time. And on both of those experiences, the leader at the helm, i.e. Diane or James Cameron, both had the same passion and the same enthusiasm for what they were doing. And that filtered down to the likes of me, you know. That filtered all the way down. And that passion is so palpable that every day, no matter how tired you are, when you show up at that set, that heightened imagination creation that you're making, you're just infused with it. You have to be a part of it. You can't, it's undeniable. And those were the two experiences where I went, this is really amazing. So I knew, handing off Obsoletia, that it was coming from that place. And I was confident that if this wasn't the hallowed ground that it would be accepted at, there was another hallowed ground that it would be accepted. And that it would find its audience eventually. And I still think that the potential for its audience hasn't even been reached yet. I think it, as a film and as a story and as a philosophy, will probably be more received or better received further down the line, as things do come to a change and as things do progress in the way that the philosophical ideas in the film actually come to bear. And that's where I feel, you know, the two experiences, micro budget and multi-million dollar budget, but yet the same infusion of passion, you know. I mean, Diane Bell and James Cameron in the same sentence. You know, I mean, it's pretty amazing, you know. But I experienced
There was
that.
one thing I will say, just picking up on that. Like, there was definitely, like, when we were making the film, it was a great experience, and it was just that feeling of everyone coming together and just something really, really great happening. That is true. I still didn't think that we would get in Sundance, or didn't have that as a sort of. I mean, I'd always hoped for it, because I always, you know, admired Sundance and thought that would be amazing, but I did not expect it.
But I had no doubts about it. I had no doubts about the film at all, ever. Like, when it got Independent Spirit Awards, I went, yeah, that makes sense. You know, yeah, sure. Makes sense. It's done with pure passion and love, and, you know, it's creative and it's artistic, and yeah, makes sense. Didn't question it in the slightest, you know. And that wasn't arrogance. That was just like, well, I feel really confident in this loaf of bread I just baked, you know. It's really good. It tastes great. Try some, you know. That was it.